Going on, everyone? John Matrix here. Today we're going to be jumping into the wonderful, bright and sunny, beautiful universe that is the Warhammer 40k universe. You know, it is a universe full of daisies and roses and nothing but peace and love and understanding. Resounds through the universe. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But yeah, anyway, so we've got a video on the Cult Mechanicus from the Scholar's Lore. This is the Cult Mechanicus Warhammer 40k video. So we're going to check that out here. This was requested by one of my YouTube members. So yeah, we're going to jump on into it. As always, links will be down below in the description to the Scholar's Lore channel and to the original video here without my commentary and reaction. So if you would do me a favor, click those links, go over there. If you enjoyed this video that Scholar's Lore made, give it a like and check out the rest of his content. He makes a lot of great content for the Warhammer 40k universe, so give the man a sub if you enjoy his content. But for now, we're gonna get into it. As always, we're well, not as always, but we're currently doing this live, so if you want to come in and join the discussions as we are doing these videos, you know, feel free to. Would love to have you guys come in here. There's a join button down below. You can click on that, check out the YouTube membership benefits, see if any of the tiers have any interest for you. And yeah, we'd love to have you guys in here to join in the discussions. But let's check out this here video.
Within our glorious Imperium, there exists an ever-present schism of both religion and ideology. The vast majority of humans who reside within the sanctuary of our empire find solace in following the sacred doctrines and principles of the imperial cult, venerating the God Emperor of mankind as our exalted savior.
I do find it interesting still that the Mechanicus are like the only ones who really have a pass. I wonder like how many people in the like Imperium like see that and have questioned that, you know what I mean? Because like anyone that knows the Mechanicus and their religion, like you got to be like, why do these guys get a pass? You know what I mean? Why is it that these guys don't need to necessarily worship the Emperor like we do? They don't necessarily think of him as the you know, God savior like we do. You know, what do they know that we don't know? Etc. etc. So I'm curious, like who else knows about it and who thinks about that, you know? Well, you'll see that there's more to it than just their importance. You'll see the man Mechanicus technically worship the Emperor. Yeah, I mean, like they know he's the or they believe he's the Omnissiah, and they worship him as the Omnissiah, but they don't worship him as like the God savior of humanity like the Imperium do. Like, you know, it's a different kind of like religious doctrine, I guess. And it's different from like the imperial truth, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. It just makes me wonder, you know, who at the time sees that and are like, you know, they question it. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's continue.
Imperial cult, venerating the God Emperor of mankind as our exalted savior and spiritual liege. Each dawn is heralded by the adoration of his magnificence, and each dusk gives time for a moment of quiet reflection.
Well, I feel like they hate them because they kind of get a pass on things, right? They don't necessarily really fall under their rule, you know, and like it seems like the church definitely wants to have as much power over things and run things as possible. You know what I mean? So it only makes sense that the ecclesiarchy wouldn't like the Mechanicus.
Adoration of his magnificence, and each dusk gives time for a moment of quiet reflection and contemplation, where we may give thanks for his resplendent will, which has steered humanity's course throughout the oceanic tides of our galaxy. However, outside of this devout majority, there exists a separate group who have pledged their souls towards the worship of another deity, and these would be the followers of the Cult Mechanicus of Mars. These devotees ascribe to the belief that divinity is not enshrined within flesh, but is instead found in the strength of steel, and as a part of their creed, they worship the machine god as their spiritual lord. Their forms of divine reverence differ greatly from that of the imperial cult, and for its adherents, they only seek to utilize and embrace technology as the ultimate form of worship.
So, I know that their religion is it's like a three-tiered kind of thing. It's based on like three parts. There's like the machine spirit, there's the Omnissiah, and I always forget what the third part is. It's like the something truth, something along those lines. I'm sure he'll cover it over in this, but I guess it's kind of like analogous to like, you know, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit as far as like, I guess, Christianity or biblical terms go. It's kind of like similar in those senses. Like, I guess the Omnissiah or the Emperor would be considered to be Jesus. God, you know, is, you know, the actual machine spirit, machine god, the Omnissiah, and yeah, that's what it is, the motive force. I don't know why I keep thinking the truth, the motive force. So, like, yeah, it's kind of like analogous to those along the way.
Today, we shall attempt to investigate the cryptic and labyrinthine structure of their faith, which has been tolerated by the Imperium as a matter of pragmatic necessity.
And I know why they got a pass. You know, I know at the beginning when the Emperor was going out to, you know, reunite humanity, Earth was still kind of pretty weak at the time, and they really couldn't afford to get into a fight with the Mechanicus of Mars. So they kind of made like an agreement for them to, you know, build the war machines to allow them to kind of still practice their religion as long as they, you know, still kind of obeyed the Emperor's word and orders. That kind of a situation, you know. Same with the rogue traders. A warrant of trade, son of the Emperor, makes your dynasty pretty important. Even if said warrant was probably gotcha. Okay.
The lords of the Imperium recognize the true and inherent value of the Mechanicus, and they understand the benefits of permitting their esoteric tech priests to continue in their ceremonial rites of worshipping the Omnissiah. With that being said, it is incredibly rare and almost seldom encountered for an individual to ascribe to the teachings of both the imperial cult and of the Cult Mechanicus. To embrace selected tenets from each faith would inevitably lead the misguided soul into the confines of an ecclesiarchal cell, or for those who are less fortunate, into the hands of an eager tech priest who will gleefully seize in the opportunity to transfigure the heretic into a mindless servitor.
Yeah, I know before the heresy they had much more autonomy, but then after the heresy, with everything that happened and the Dark Mechanicus creation, they definitely fell under much more oversight from the Imperium itself. And I think really, as far as I know, Belisarius Cawl is like the only one who kind of like really has any freedom to do whatever the fuck he wants. You know what I mean? So.
For the followers of the Cult Mechanicus, they believe themselves to have found the innate and profound truth within the universe. In their creed, knowledge emerges as the ultimate bestowment of the divine, and it stands as an undeniable proof of their spiritual sovereign as having graced humanity with his gift. As such, it is no wonder that their liege, the machine god, stands as the ultimate manifestation of technology, as he symbolizes their conviction that the mastery of knowledge is the sole purpose to our perpetual spiritual journey. The machine god is regarded as the prime architect behind the revelation and genesis of all technological marvels and scientific principles within the universe, which were bequeathed upon humanity as sacred gifts. Thus, when we uncover or decipher one of these universal artifacts, it is seen to be an act of divine reverence to his will, as we are directly following in his path and embracing that which he has so gracefully provided to us. Anything which can embody the tenets of knowledge or technology will be held in a sacred place within the Cult Mechanicus. Even but a humble las gun is seen as a divine gift. But there are some pieces of technology which are known to be true, holy artifacts. Machines which can contain and preserve knowledge are seen as divine tools which can hold his word.
Yeah, SDCs, right? Aren't SDCs like considered the most venerable things the Mechanicus can find, because it gives them more knowledge of obviously technologies that are safe for them to like do things with.
So for ancient or archaic databases, the Mechanicus will see them as being something which is just as sacred as a living human being. Furthermore, many tech priests will actually revere technological artifacts as being more sacred and more valuable than human life itself. These machines can be seen as the purest expression of their God's gift, and their latent machine spirits act as further proof towards the divinity of technology. Mankind is rife with the influence of emotions, but for a machine, it is based solely upon holy logic, and it is free from the imperfections of life which have damned humanity since our earliest days.
It's kind of funny that like the Mechanicus are kind of like the Vulcans of the 40k universe. Their entire being is kind of really based around like logic and doing things with as little emotion as possible. It's not that they don't have emotions. It's just that, you know, their mechanical side of things is, you know, what they base their reactions and actions and whatnot off of.
As an extension of this concept, the divine worth of humanity is almost exclusively found in our ability to retain and preserve the knowledge of technology. We are but flawed machines who can never be compared to the sanctity of steel or the reliance of circuitry. And for the Mechanicus, oftentimes, they will look upon their bodies of flesh as being rife with damaged components, which can always be improved upon through technological augmentations.
I guess the question that I would have for a tech priest, you know, if I were to ever meet a tech priest, you know, if I were to live and be born in the 40k universe, the question that I would have is like, okay, like, you believe in this machine god. I understand that. Why would the machine god make you an organic being, you know, with all these flaws, if like the idea of the mechanical being is perfection? You know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't you have been made from birth in a mechanical form? You know what I mean? Like, is it just because the idea of like the pursuit of, you know, making your body into this mechanical thing is that's like the whole purpose, and to become enlightened through doing that, or is there some other reason? You know what I mean? Because it's like, if you were born with all these flaws, then why would your machine god make you that way? You know what I mean? And I guess, you know, that could be now, there's any kind of like religious things that could say that, you know, the same thing with some religions nowadays. You know, we're born sinners and our purpose on this planet is to, you know, realize our sins and repent them, and, you know, et cetera, so that we can be pure when we go to heaven, kind of a thing. You know, I don't know. And mechanics believe that organics are machines, that human consciousness is the highest state of being, that improving the mechanics of your body is holy. Right. That's kind of what I figured. That's kind of what I figured the answer would be, but I would just be curious to see what other kind of answers someone would give. Like, what other kind of answer a tech priest would give.
It is seen as something of a rite of passage for a Mechanicus follower to replace aspects of their own fickle biology with cold, logical components. This may begin with small changes, such as by adding neural implants to improve their memories, to vast...
The Elon's already taken us that way, man. Neuralink is the first step to the Mechanicus. He's actually Belisarius, dude. Elon is actually living day Belisarius. He's just, you know, he's just hiding in plain sight.
Alterations whereby they may replace entire organ systems or limbs with enhanced mechanical tools. Some tech
Yeah, and I mean, that's another question too. That's another question, is that, like, yeah, why is it still as corruptible, if not more so? You know what I mean? Like, because like, it's never been outright stated, but I'm pretty sure it's the case that, you know, the AI war that happened was because of chaos corrupting the AI and turning it against humanity at some point in time in some way. It seems to be what the case is. And that's why there's a lot of old relics from that time that are, you know, sealed away because they've been corrupted by chaos, you know? Yeah, it's implied that the Men of Iron were chaos corrupted, right? So, you know, it's just the machine is just as corruptible as flesh is. It's just that, I guess, potentially from a physical standpoint, you know, it's more capable. It's able to take more damage. It doesn't decay as quickly as flesh does. But then again, you know, like, how quickly does it take for things to rust if it's not, like, you know, made from stainless steel or the right kind of alloys? You know, things can rust pretty quickly, you know? I don't know. You could take a lot of these things in any kind of ways, you know, I guess. So, because of Warhammer 40k, they found Men of Iron who were once, right, yeah. So, but yeah, it seems like, you know, the Mechanicus stuff is just as corruptible and vulnerable to anything as normal flesh would be. So, you know, it could just be, again, just belief in religious doctrine, you know?
priests believe with enhanced mechanical tools. Some tech priests believe that the ultimate desire of the machine god is for us to replace our entire flawed frames with one of steel. So, for the most senior of Magos leaders, they will retain only small portions of their original humanity, standing as vast, multi-limbed statues of reverence towards their god. At the core of their religion, there exists...
You know, I just had a thought, and I'm curious. I wonder what if the machine god, again, this is just theory, what if the machine god is actually, you know, a real thing, but it's just, you know, a sentient AI left over from the early days, and it saw the issues that happened and the war that happened between humanity and the AI. So its idea to kind of like bridge the gap is to have humanity infuse mechanical parts in their bodies so that there wouldn't be as much of a difference between organics and AI. So that's why it's led people to, in the Cult Mechanicus, to believe this way. You know what I mean? Maybe that's part of the origins of it. You know, I don't know. Again, this is just a what if theory. Maybe I can make a video on that at some point in time, but going in that a little bit deeper. But just an idea that just kind of popped in my head as we're going through this video.
Their god. At the core of their religion, there exists a codified set of 16 rules known as the universal laws, which are to be adhered to by all where they are seen as being truly guiding principles to the cultists of Mars. These will be split into two branches, where the first 8 outline the mysterious nature of the universe, whereas the latter 8 warn of the various dangers to be found in the eternal pursuit of knowledge.
Okay, so the mystery of the Cult Mechanicus. Life is directed motion. The spirit is a spark of life. Sentience is the ability to learn the value of knowledge. Intellect is the understanding of knowledge. Sentience is the basis form of intellect. Understanding is the true path of comprehension. Comprehension is the key to all things. The Omnisci knows all and comprehends all. Okay, I can see how one of those lead to the next. Warnings of the Cult Mechanicus. Alien mechanism is a version of the true path. The soul is the consciousness. The soul is the conscience of science. Okay, a soul can be bestowed only by the Omnisci. The soul of sentience is the enemy of all. The knowledge of the ancients stands beyond question. The machine spirit guards the knowledge of all ancestors. Flesh is fallible. but ritual honors the machine spirit. To break the ritual is to break the faith. Mechanicum, Horus Heresy delves into that novel. Gotcha.
Whilst all Mechanicus agents should be basing their actions upon these commandments, there still exist some isolated factions who will choose to bend these rules for their own benefit. The prime example would be the minor cult, known as the Crucible Resolviate, who are known to operate within the chaotic anomaly of the Jericho Reach. Though they are undoubtedly loyal to the Imperium and to the Mechanicus, they will readily ignore the warnings behind studying Xenos technology, and they have instead chosen to primarily focus on the arcane deciphering of any alien artifacts which they can get their mechadendrite grips on. Due to their blatant willingness to neglect the sacred teachings of Mars, they will rarely be acknowledged or even tolerated by the wider Mechanicus. However, this shunning has not dissuaded them from their exotic interests. From their perspective, there is much to be gained from studying the forbidden insights of the Xenos, and the strict rulings of the universal laws are unnecessarily prohibitive towards their eternal quest for knowledge.
I mean, it's true. You can't really deny that. Like, you know, a lot of the Eldar technology came from, you know, stuff that was based on the old ones, maybe even some stuff from the Necrons or the Catan. So, like, that could open up all kinds of pathways for, you know, new innovative technologies that can benefit and save humanity, etc. You know, but of course, it would be considered heretical. So, who knows? But I mean, there's also the idea that humanity at one point in time was, you know, their technology was beyond even what the Eldars had. So the purity of the human technology is what's to be preserved. You know, I'm sure the Death Watch might get along with this sect.
Do not mistake their actions for tech heresy, however, for they simply seek to alter and manipulate the errant machine spirits of the alien technologies into a state where they will be accepted and embraced by the rest of the Cult Mechanicus. As such, once they have uncovered a usually verboten Xenos technology, they will begin the painstaking process of purifying the artifact from the alien essence, which has undoubtedly tainted the machine. It is only once the Magi are confident that no trace of a tarnished spirit remains, that they will proceed with studying and unraveling the mysteries of the artifact, hopefully providing them with further insights towards the technological truth of the universe. Given their keen interest in the various alien relics of the galaxy, it is no wonder that they have formed a loose association with the venerable agents of the Ordo Xenos, whose sole purpose is dedicated towards the purgation of any hostile species who may oppose the realm of man. Members of the Death Watch have been known to hand over recovered alien artifacts towards the members of the Crucible Resolviate, since it is only through understanding their enemies that they may best formulate new methods for their destruction. In the sacred annals of the Cult Mechanicus, a pivotal doctrine reads that the divine is made up of a holy trinity, the machine god, the omnissiah, and the motive force. Firstly, we shall cover the machine god. It is not to be viewed in the same way as the god emperor, as the machine god is seen as a true metaphysical entity which conceptually exists as an ever-present force throughout the universe. The sheer majesty of technology is seen as being so transcendent and so glorious that it could have only ever been formed as part of a larger plan ordained by the divine grace of the machine god.
Mechan's part of the 40k universe. SCP and 40k, man, they're the same universe, just different times.
Each piece of machinery is therefore seen as an extension of their god, as it was directly created in his image, before being graced upon humanity. These tools are seen as being able to surpass the crude and fallible nature of biological life, and it is only through the machine that we too may reach some plane of divine mechanical perfection. Tech priests will passionately rave and furiously debate through binary chants as to why they believe that humanity was ordained to act as the chosen species for the machine god. But regardless of its true reason, we are seen to be the prophets of the machine, and that it is our sole duty to integrate these technological wonders within our own corporeal frames and within our very souls. Our flesh may rot and decay, but there is strength to be found in cold, hard steel, and there is truly no more sacred way to connect with the divine than to reject our innate weaknesses and embrace the sanctified, metallic gift of the machine god.
See, I mean, they say flesh rots and decay, which is true, but metal also breaks down and rusts and needs to be replaced as well. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. The logic is kind of circular in a way, you know? They're I don't know. It's just kind of a strange, like, it's clear that obviously, like, in certain aspects, you know, having a metallic body would be superior in certain ways. You know, you'd be able to take more punishment, you'd be able to do certain things better, but potentially it also has its downside. You'd be heavier, you might not be quite as maneuverable. You know, it might be more difficult to heal from actual injuries and repairs, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't know, unless they have nanites. I don't know if the Mechanicus has any kind of nanite things or whatever that can, like, act as, you know, cells to repair things or whatever, you know. I don't know.
The fact that humanity has been selected to embody the machine god brings us to the second aspect of the Trinity, and that would be the Omnissiah. There was prophesied to be a human manifestation of the machine god, who would lead and direct our species towards the ultimate goal of uncovering all knowledge within the universe, and that they would act as the physical hand of the machine god if it wished to interact with reality itself.
Face Jesus.
During the 30th millennium, mankind upon Earth was poised to enter into a war with the denizens of Mars, which would have likely brought nothing but ruin to the twin worlds. This conflict was thankfully never sparked, however, as the two planets signed an accord, known as the Treaty of Mars. This decree ordained the God Emperor of mankind as being the Omnissiah, the physical manifestation of the machine god, and from this, an eternal alliance between the Imperium and the Cult of Mars was founded. Despite the governing agreement that the Emperor is in fact the Omnissiah, there are still some who believe that this is a falsehood, and that the true avatar of the divine is still waiting to present itself.
That would be an interesting twist, too, as if that actually happened. That would be an interesting twist in the 40k universe if all of a sudden the, I guess, real Omnissiah would somehow make himself present in some way. You know? Some kind of, you know, semi-organic AI being from, you know, the dark age of technology that had been preserved in some way, that kept itself alive and preserved in some way. You know, just kind of like did the Necron thing of sleeping through the bad times and woke up somehow, or was awoken, you know, maybe prematurely by a tech priest that found it. And, you know, they end up getting presented as the Omnissiah. That would be an interesting twist to see what would happen with that. That would be another kind of interesting what if scenario.
The tech priests who currently reject this status quo tend to keep their wild theories to themselves, since there is much to be gained from simply agreeing to the current arrangement, even if it stands as borderline sacrilege. It is said that within the depths of the 7th Blackstone Fortress, that an archaic robotic construct who is thought to be an ancient man of iron, containing a perfected artificial intelligence from mankind's calamitous past, has joined in with an imperial exploratory retinue in order to uncover the forbidden secrets of the colossal structure. Allegedly, This entity has claimed that it has actually met with the real Omnissiah, and it has even asserted that this true being would be rather disappointed with the current state of humanity. The third concept within the Martian Trinity would be...
Which would, I guess, kind of go with, kind of along with what I was saying, because, like, if there was a being, AI or otherwise, that was part of humanity, worked with humanity, allied with humanity during, you know, the peak of human technological civilization and exploration during that kind of like Star Trek era, and then they see what we are now and how we've regressed, it would be pretty upset. Be pretty upset. I don't buy it. Yeah, I don't know if I really buy it either. Could definitely be some chaos heresy going on there. But yeah, that's another idea for an interesting. I have a lot of ideas for what if videos to create. I need to really actually just get on actually doing a couple of them and making some of these what if theories and posting them and see what you guys think. So let's continue.
Be the motive force. The third concept within the Martian Trinity would be the motive force. This is an elemental and ever-present power which spans the entire universe, and it is from this force that all life, whether it be biological or machine, gains its ability to move and act with its own will.
Hence the motive.
There are those within the Mechanicum who strictly follow the motive force as being the most important part of the Martian Trinity. These would be the electro-priests, who perceive the world through the sparking lens of the motive force, whereby they can see its pulsating currents and draw from its energies to...
That man is having some kind of moment right now. He looks way too happy for having his eyes, you know, sealed shut like that.
To unleash vast fields of crackling electrical bolts. These priests entered into a civil war during the early days of Mars, whereby two factions appeared. The Corpuscari believed that they should spread the light of the motive force throughout the cosmos by utilizing its powers, whereas the Fulgurites saw the energies of the motive force as being finite and limited, and that the Corpuscari were flagrantly abusing its divine energies. This conflict has never been fully resolved, but the sands of Mars have been permanently scarred by the vast electrical blasts which were unleashed during their tumultuous civil war.
Interesting.
Another core belief within the Cult Mechanicus is that every piece of technology contains within it a small fragment of the machine god, and this is known as a machine spirit. This is part of the reason as to why they perceive each technological tool as a divine object, since it holds within it a small part of their own deity. Without a machine spirit, they believe that no machine could ever truly work, and that it is an integral part of its normal operation. Because of this, in order to appease the latent machine spirits, they will enact various religious ceremonies over every piece of technology just to ensure that it continues to function as expected and that the machine spirit will not be angered by our arrogant hubris. They will pray and waft pungent incense across the machine's surface, chanting tenets of respect towards the spirit, enabling us to work in harmony with this extension of the divine. Though some may scoff at the idea of there being a living spirit within each piece of technology, they would simply be ignorant to the truths which they are themselves blind to see. The more learned and well-versed of tech priests understand that some spirits are more bestial or more loyal than others, and as such they will require different rites and rituals to best wrangle, control, and appease the sentient force. This is best seen when one looks upon the great god engines of the Legio Titanica. The colossal imperial titans each contain within them a unique and blazingly potent machine spirit, which must be tamed by its pilots, or they will simply reject any orders given to them.
I still feel like that's just AI. You know what I mean? I feel like their interpretation of what a machine spirit is is some kind of remnants of AI left over from, you know, the early days of the dark age of technology. And I feel like some of the AI, like, it's just not expressing itself fully. Like they're acting like they're, how am I trying to say this? The majority of the functions are dormant, essentially. They're only kind of like putting on a certain face value, so as not to, I guess, be destroyed, you know, because obviously humanity is afraid of what AI is and what it can be. So if there were AI left, they would have to kind of hide and conceal themselves. So I feel like some of the AI functions in these machines, they kind of like are playing it up and only like are partially functional. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken, maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my personal idea or theory about this stuff.
It is said that the princeps who mount and control the mighty titans will innately link with the inborn machine spirit, melding their twin essences into one linked consciousness.
And so, yeah, and like that right there, it's like when a new pilot gets into a Titan, they have to kind of get used to the AI in there, and the AI has to get used to them in order for them to sync up properly to, you know, utilize the full functions of the machine, you know? Kind of like, I guess, the idea in Pacific Rim where you got to have two people, and, you know, enter the drift, and if their subconsciousnesses or whatever aren't compatible with each other, they can't pilot a Jaeger together. I feel like it's kind of a similar situation in this, in certain ways.
Effectively allowing the pilot to overpower and impose their will upon the Great Spirit. Some systems, vehicles, or tanks will contain a spirit which is potent enough to continue operating themselves even if the human crews have been killed.
Right. Again, AI.
This is most notably seen in the mighty land raiders of the Adeptus Astartes, which have been observed to operate autonomously upon a battlefield, with all aspects of the vehicle remaining functional even after its crew has long since perished. The most famous example of this would surely be the land raider known as Rin's Might of the Crimson Fists chapter, which waged a bloody war against the Orcs during the invasion of their homeworld, before finally succumbing to its grievous damage. The belief in the machine spirit poses an interesting quandary to the Mechanicus. How should they treat the technologies of alien species? No Xenos faction has ever been encountered to share in the belief of the machine god or of a machine spirit. So for any piece of alien technology, the Mechanicus view the machine spirit as having been neglected and cruelly wrangled into enslavement by the foul and sacrilegious Xenos. As such, when alien technologies are uncovered after rapidly assessing and cataloging its internal mechanisms, these tools are most often destroyed, as they believe that this will free the latent machine spirit from its tortuous prison of neglect.
I could see how they would think that, you know. It's imprisoned in this machine, so they destroy it so the machine spirit can be released and inhabit the new machine where it can, like, actually function properly.
With that being said, there are some wayward cult followers who will choose to utilize these tools. In some ways, they may be seen as more fervent followers of the belief that all technology is a sacred gift of the machine god, and so they will attempt to purify and integrate the Xenos technology within their frames. But this is a highly shunned activity for all but the most outcasted and estranged members of the Martian cult.
I mean, again, I could see that argument on how that could be valid, because it's like, you know, if a machine spirit inhabits, you know, all machines, you know, then any kind of technology, whether it's, you know, human origin or of Xenos origin, could be seen as technology made by the machine god and has, you know, a right to be utilized and exist. But I could also see the counter argument of, you know, these Xenos have taken these machine spirits and corrupted them into a form of, technology where they're actually imprisoned and they're being, tortured and enslaved in these machines, and they're really trying to be free. And so the best thing to do is to destroy those machines, and the machine spirit can return to a more pure form of technology that they create or something. So it's kind of like a cyclical argument of, who's right and who's wrong, and it's not something that could ever be proven one way or the other. It's implied that the Cult Mechanicus are the SCCs that they keep looking for. Right. I forget what it was. There was some story that we watched in this that talked about, maybe it was one of Luton's videos where he talks about like the top 10 most powerful weapons or whatever, but he talked about a Mechanicus ship that was being threatened and ended up coming alive and taking care of a situation, and essentially created a singularity to destroy an Eldar vessel. And the Mechanicus had no idea or no clue that it was capable of doing what it did. But yeah, it did. And then once the threat was eliminated, it went dormant again. You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like that's a clear case of like, yeah, this is AI that's just hiding so it can't be destroyed, essentially. And it's waiting for humanity to get back to a state of understanding or a state of enlightenment to where it's accepting of AI. I believe it was a Luton video, which also that, Couch was referencing. Yeah, so there are 100% AI inside giant chips that are, that's, I think, literally was what, I think I was talking about the same thing, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're talking about the same thing. Exactly. Yeah, so it's like, they're definitely are still there. They're just keeping themselves hidden from people because they don't want to be threatened, essentially, I think, is what the case is.
Ancient pieces of technology recovered from archaic human settlements are viewed as some of the most sacred artifacts of the machine god for the followers of the cult. They would view a tool from the dark age of technology in the same way that an ecclesiastical priest may view the remains of a deceased saint, and they are to be studied and preserved for all of time. Many machines within the Imperium are so ancient that we have lost all methods for recreating them, and these relics are to be revered with the highest degree of respect.
Terminator armor, for example.
Vast void ships and the god engines of the Legio Titanicus are utterly irreplaceable, so they will be lavished with the attention of the most senior and respectful of tech priests, who understand that they are some of the most sacred gifts of the machine god. If one was to disrespect or neglect a piece of technology in the presence of a tech priest, then they are clearly viewed as heretical and sacrilegious individuals who hold no reverence towards the machine god. To abuse a machine upon a forge world is to condemn yourself to death, or worse, to be transformed into a soulless husk of a servitor.
Servitor, dude. Being turned into a servitor honestly sounds like one of the worst fates possible. I mean, I know there's things worse, like, becoming a slave to the Drakari, or getting caught by a Slanesh demon and having them do all kinds of crazy shit to you, but like the idea of essentially being somewhat lobotomized and being trapped in your own body and being made to perform things against your will, like you're essentially just a living husk, unable to like actually act or do anything, but you're still just conscious and aware of everything around you, and like you're just essentially trapped in your body with unable to do anything. Like, just kill me. Like when people say there are fates worse than death, there are definitely some fates that are worse than death.
In a rather strange view, the tech priests do not see true sentient artificial intelligences as sacred, and in fact they are seen as abominations to be utterly destroyed. They are perceived to be soulless automata who were not created as children of the machine god, and are instead nothing but spiritless beings who exist only to spite the divine glory of their cult. Even the knowledge of these AI existing is seen as a foul crime to the Mechanicus, and any who encounter them will be swiftly executed, for the act of investigating an AI is tantamount to tech heresy. The cult...
And that's why, again, I feel like, you know, there's AI out there, but they're just keeping themselves hidden because they don't want to be destroyed, and they don't want to, I guess, probably inadvertently kill humans by interacting with them. And so they only really act when they themselves are threatened and have to intervene in certain situations, like with that Cult Mechanicus ship fighting against the Eldar to preserve itself.
Mechanicus outlines a strict code of technological conduct towards its members, which outlines the appropriate ways of investigating and utilizing all mechanical tools within the galaxy. To breach this code would be to enter into the field of tech heresy, which would brand the individual as a heretic who should be hunted down and destroyed. The three greatest sins of tech heresy, as outlined by the Mechanicus, would be the study and creation of free-willed and unrestrained abominable intelligences, the haphazard manipulation of the human genome, and the study of the foul forces of the warp. Since the act of emboldening our humble minds with knowledge is seen as a sacred act to the Cult Mechanicus, they will routinely set out on expeditions to uncover the secrets of the universe in the hopes that it brings them closer to their ultimate goal of understanding the complex nature of the machine god. Fleets will be sent to every corner of the galaxy in the hopes that they will uncover some new and esoteric technological gift which will lift humanity out of its stagnant state into the nirvana of mechanical purity. One of the most highly prized discoveries would be to uncover an ancient fragment of a standard template construct.
STCs.
These databases are relics from the bygone days of humanity, and they contain within them the instructions and methods for constructing a single piece of technology from the base resources available on a planet.
Isn't it able to, like, not just do one thing, but, like, there can be multiple things of technology, and it's able to, like, essentially adjusts what technologies can be created based on the resources of it sees available on each planet? Like, you could take it from planet to planet, and it's able to adjust what is needed and what can be created based on the resources available on each planet, something like that. Maybe that's how it used to be functioned back in the day when humanity was at its peak of technology, and it can't do that anymore because the Mechanicus don't understand how to get it to do that, something like that. So any tech heresy would normally be dealt with in-house unless it gets out of hand. Right. Well, I'm sure they would want to keep a lot of that stuff secret too, anyway. They wouldn't want to look bad for the Imperium and give the Imperium any kind of excuse to impose more rules and laws and oversight on them.
These can range from templates based on building but a simple spoon, to the construction of an entire Titan, and any rumor of one appearing on a world will be met by a ravenous hunt by the Mechanicus agents. This shall bring an end to our sermon. The adherents to the Cult Mechanicus may seem to be strange and esoteric individuals who have forsaken their humanity in favor of the strength of steel, but they are our eternal allies, who are invaluable to humanity's place within the stars. We shall forever aid them in their endeavors, just as they have aided us throughout the eons, and if they have gained the respect of our own God Emperor, then they are most deserving of our own recognition. Despite their augmentations, beneath the steel, they still retain and share us in holding a sacred human soul.
All right. There you go. There you go. That was another great video by the Scholar's Lore. Again, that was the Cult Mechanicus Warhammer 40k lore by the Scholar's Lore. Links will be down below in the description to the original video without my commentary and reaction, and to the Scholar's Lore channel. So yeah, great video going over more of the ideals of the Adeptus Mechanicus, their religion, the trinity that the religion's based off of, the machine spirit, the Omnissiah, and the motive force. Some of the factions that I weren't aware of, some of the earlier other cults that believe the motive force is the most important part of it, and kind of another civil war between these two factions, that one believing that the motive force is limited and that the other faction's abusing the motive force, etc. And yeah, just some interesting ideas and concepts to go over. As I said, I have some ideas for some what if theory videos in the 40k universe that I've been wanting to go over and create, but I just have never really found the time to sit down and actually start kind of doing them. I've also kind of wanted to wait and learn more about the 40k universe. For example, you know, like I have a video idea that I would love to explore and get into about, you know, what if the Emperor, what if the Primarchs never got scattered and the Emperor really got to raise them properly? How things would have been different. There's still a lot more stuff in the 40k universe that I feel I need to learn, and specifically about the Primarchs themselves before I can really do that video. Because I mean, like, the idea of the Emperor raising the Primarchs would also probably go into eventually him telling them about the dangers of the warp and preparing them for the warp. And so, like, maybe the heresy would have happened anyway, but it would happen in a different way, because like maybe Magnus, with his pride and arrogance and wanting to learn more about the warp, he would have delved deeper into the warp and then been corrupted by it, and it would have happened with him being corrupted and spreading things, but maybe they would have been able to isolate him more, understanding what the warp is, etc, etc. So I mean, there's a lot of different paths that, you know, a video like that could go down, and there's still a lot more things that I feel like I need to learn about the 40k universe before I could really make a video with kind of like a more educated take on things like that. So I do plan on doing some more videos like that. I just have kind of put some of them in the back burner, but some of them, like the idea of, you know, an AI being around that potentially might have started the Mechanicus religion, with the idea of trying to meld humanity with cybernetics so that there isn't as much of a difference between humanity and AI, technologically speaking, you know, etc. Maybe that would bridge gaps and make sure that another war between humanity and AI didn't happen. That could be something that, you know, potentially I could get into and done. The idea of also that there is an Omnissiah out there, and what could happen if, you know, a Mechanicus priest were to find, you know, a being like that and would bring them back, what could happen with that and where things could go. So some of those are some ideas that I could potentially get into for creating some videos, etc. So at some point in time, I plan on getting into some of those, but yeah, like I said, great video from the Scholar's Lore. Really enjoyed it. Appreciate you guys coming and hanging out. Like I said, links will be down below in the description. We've done this reaction live here, as with many others. Would love to have you guys come in here and join the discussions that we have, to, you know, go over any questions that I have. If you guys have any, you know, anything that you would like to bring up, you know, discussion wise, you know, as I pose these various questions as we go through these videos, you know, I'd love to just, you know, discuss a lot of things. I love having discussions about these various topics. So would enjoy having you guys come in here and join in the discussion. So if you would like to do that, there is a join button down below. You can check out the YouTube membership benefits and the various tiers that we have. See if any of those have any interest for you if you'd like to come in and join. Regardless of any of that, I just appreciate you guys hanging out and watching the video. I greatly appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come in here and hang out and do that. And yeah, if you liked the video, consider leaving a like and a sub. Appreciate you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful day whenever you're watching this. And we'll see you guys on the next one.